What's going on, y'all? My name is Jay Faith, and this is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast where we sit down, make connections through conversations, hopefully inspire others to grow in whatever it is that they're doing. Appreciate everybody that's been tuning in, checking us out. Enough about me, enough about the podcast. We're here for another special guest here today. I want to welcome Kyle Knight, fellow member of Minds of One Collective Genius and a guru of multiple things. Welcome, man. How's it going?
Hey, thank you, man. Going good.
Glad to have you, man. It's
Glad to
been
be here.
super dope to have another member of Minds of One Collective Genius. We just had Just for Kicks not too long ago. Shout out to Just for Kicks. Shout out to the team. Shout out to everybody over there. What's been going on with you, man?
Not too much. We were just out in Manchester celebrating Just for Kicks' girl's birthday last weekend. Otherwise, been working away every day.
Yes, sir.
Over at the brewery. Shout out Long Blue Cat.
What do you do over there? Because you've got an interesting job over there.
Yeah, well,
to me at least.
Well, we run a venue out of there, kind of. We do some live music, which has been awesome, and we've thrown some sweet underground hip hop shows, like upstairs in the private room.
Yep.
We have a sweet outdoor stage, which you've performed at a few times with those live shows.
Yep.
But I kind of do a lot of the booking there, and I manage a few of the things, but mostly I brew. And it's actually my dad's place, which is awesome.
Oh, dope.
And I do almost everything over there. He takes care of all the important stuff, which is
all the business side of stuff.
Yeah, which is good for me because I'm kind of, didn't do my homework too often in school. So
yeah, I wasn't really good at math either. So
yeah,
I don't know how I made it through and got a degree, but
yeah,
I managed to make it happen somehow.
I mean, you got this going on, which is awesome. I feel like I'm back in the library again with all
right?
the books and stuff. It's the first book I've seen in probably 10 years.
Oh, geez. Yeah, shout out to Mike Keslak, who is the founder of 41st Studios. Shout out to 41st Studios.
Yeah.
Put all of that wonderful books of knowledge behind us that we will probably not understand anymore. I know I won't, so.
No. But, yeah, man, like I said, the podcast is sick. The studio is awesome. Yeah, at the brewery, I mean, we do a lot of cool shows. The last ones we did was with Chemic and K&G Entertainment, which we had some pretty decent artists up there, and we packed the house.
Kyle Goldstein was over there. Shout out to Kyle Goldstein.
Animatronic, he was over there too.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then, who else has been through there? I mean, Decibel, obviously Just for Kicks and 13, and we had Aaron Brown on stage a few times. He was coming there before he was 21. He would just sit there drinking soda with his buddies, like 10 of them in the background, just waiting for their turn.
Yeah.
And then they would go nuts, and then they'd be like, all right, cool, we're out, and they would bounce. I was like, dang, they didn't even ask me for a beer. Those are good kids.
Yeah, right?
Would have said no, but they didn't even ask.
Wow. Yeah, usually they would have, tried to jump at the first chance, especially with the homie.
21 or 20-year-old kids, they're like, oh, this kid's dad owns place, we'll get it. Like, they didn't ask. They're very respectable kids, those kids.
That's respectable.
Yeah. I would have asked.
That's respect right there.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough to come by.
But, Aaron Brown's the man. I've been saying for a long time, if I had to pick anybody around here, I'm putting, like, a lot of my money on Aaron Brown. That kid's, like, viral.
Especially for his age. He recently just turned 21 fairly recently, and like he's already just his flow, his style, like he knows where he's at, and like he just sticks with it, and it just crushes it every single time.
Yeah. Well, and he had that luxury. I look back and I was like, dang, imagine if I was doing this in high school and like you do one of those contests and you just like stand up before the teacher gets in there, like, hey, all 20 of you, open up your phones and vote for me real quick. Like, I'll buy you a cookie for 25 cents. Like you could, and then you got like 100 kids a day. And if it's one of those everyday voting things, you're winning every contest.
Yeah,
like, there's nobody with a serious following that's going to be able to beat that.
Right. Especially if you're out of school. Like I've been thinking this a lot. Like, I think the high schoolers do have that advantage because let's be real. Like, that's where like a majority of your friends, or the greatest majority of your friends are. At one point in your life.
Absolutely. And that's where, like, the core of, like, even throughout your life, you'll veer away from a lot of them, but you still, like, you see them, you're like, yo, dude. And, like, it's still all there. Right. It's just you don't chill all the time.
Right.
Because life brings you different ways.
Right, exactly. But at that same time, the support, I feel like, isn't the same because you're just so distant. Like, they're just like, oh, that was just, somebody I knew around the way from high school. Whereas, like, when you're, like, in the muck of it, like you're just like, yeah, that's my friend, that's my friend, that's my friend. Like we're all friends. We all have like, you know, 1 million followers on Instagram, like because we all follow each other, and it's just that much easier.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, my dad always told me, you know, you'll end up finding out who your friends and who your acquaintances are, and that starts narrowing down right about this time in my life, which I'm turning 28 tomorrow, actually.
Nice, happy early birthday.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I were to look back, I don't think that I regularly talk to anybody from my high school.
Oh, really?
Anybody. Regularly.
I jumped age gaps a little bit. Like I don't talk to many people in my grade much anymore, but I talk to all the kids that were like 3 or 4 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
But I still see a lot of the kids. Like I grew up in a neighborhood with like 15 kids, all in the same 4-year span, all in the same bus, and like I could run to any of their house during the day. So like, we all grew up pretty tight knit. You know, there was little factions in there, but
of course,
like for the most part, I have pictures with 3 or 4 of my buddies of us on the first day of first grade, up and up and up, all the way to 12th grade, and we're one of my buddy drifts right now. Shout out Garbino, 330 Drift House. He did an event up in I want to say the Lee Speedway. There's a couple around here, but this is the one in Loudon.
Oh yeah,
Loudon Speedway, probably the Loudon Speedway. That would make more sense, right?
Yeah.
And they were doing drifting. He took me in the car, drove me around, dude. We were like doing tandems, so you get wicked close to the other guy, and you're like, "Am I gonna crash into this Corvette right now? Holy crap!"
Hopefully, this guy's like smart enough to know what he's doing.
Dude, he was amazing at it. I remember the first drift he ever did. We almost spun out across the neighborhood.
Nice. The only drift I remember any of my friends doing, and I was such an idiot, it was in high school, right? Yeah. So we find an empty parking lot. He's got a Chevy S10, which he can just whip around like crazy.
Slay, baby.
And the entire parking lot is covered in a sheet of ice.
That helps.
So I get out the car because I'm like, hey, I'll record my friend drifting and doing donuts in this giant parking lot. Well, I'm sure that anybody listening can know what is about to come. Yep. I have a giant Chevy S10. I shouldn't say a giant. Those aren't really that big. But I have a Chevy S10 quickly coming at me multiple times as I'm trying to record it. And I'm also trying to run on a sheet of ice. Of course. So it was definitely a fun time. I'm freezing. I almost die. But those are just, the fun experiences that you go through in high school, among many more.
Yeah. Or when you're 27,
Yeah, right. I mean, age is what? Age is just a number. Who cares?
We're all here. We're all out here.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, other than that, man, like I don't, not on the regular, no.
Not many from the high school?
No. I mean, there's like the occasional, it's like, hey, what's up? Or like the like or something. Like I think the furthest that it goes, honestly, is like a like or a comment on like social media.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I'll see kids I used to be super close with, but like some of them, it's like, yo, and it's like you never left a day. And then there's other ones where it's like, oh, you're doing what now? Oh, like that is not like you guys just on totally different planes of life. And you're like, how did this happen? We were like best friends at one point.
Yeah. I see some people change drastically.
Yeah.
I'm like,
for the better some, for the worse some, and
yeah,
there was to fall in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. Like there were some people I like, okay, I'll idolize. I was like, oh, like I want to be just like you. And then like, or like, that girl that you were like, man, you were a smoke show. Yep. And then you see them now and you're like, I'm kind of glad that I mean, who knows how life would have turned out differently, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, I just look back now and I'm like, man, why did I waste my time liking you, thinking you were all that, wanting to be you, for you to just, no.
No, man. These ladies be trifling. As politely as I can say it.
And then I get the people that will friend request me from high school, and I'm like, dude, I literally haven't talked to you since high school, and that was 2006. It's 2022.
See, I feel weird about that because I'm the guy. I'll be like, oh, dude, this guy. I'll send him a friend request, and they'll leave me on red or whatever. They won't accept it. I'm like, all right, I guess he doesn't like me anymore.
Right.
Shit.
You're like, what did I do to you?
Yeah, dude, I thought we were boys.
I
was excited to see your name pop up. I forgot about you, honestly, for a few years.
Right.
But honestly, I've been just itching to do like more shows. Like the pandemic, when everything was shut down and nobody was doing shows, I was like, well, I guess rap's just over. Like I don't have much of an internet presence. As like if you try to search me, you won't find too much. I got like 2 songs on YouTube maybe. But like I thrive off those live shows. Like, that's why I like the venue. My dream is to own my own venue, which I kind of do, but I want like a big venue where we're booking like, artists that can fill the thing, and you're making like, actually a couple bucks instead of losing a couple bucks. But
Right.
I'm willing to lose the couple bucks every day. Don't worry about it. But with that happen, I just realized how much I like miss just a drum kit live, man. Dude. Like a real drum kit just smashing. Like when I just heard that outside, I heard some drums in the distance. I was like, yo, can we go over there? I'm heading over there. If that drum's still playing when I get out of here,
For sure.
Going to check it out.
I'm sure it will be. Yeah, COVID definitely just jacked everything up. Like I didn't even know what to do. I was like, what do I do as an artist right now? Like, yeah, there were, I can make music but I'm like, where does it take me if nobody can even hear me live?
Connect with you like on a personal level. Yeah. Like you hope that you can get that through across like your audio waves and what have you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's got to happen at the show and people feel the emotion that you're putting into it, because songs rarely sound exactly how they're recorded as they do when you're performing, because you have more time and takes and you cut it in, where sometimes you're out of breath or you're like, and sometimes that out of breath adds that emotion where you're like trying to get your last word out, and it's like you can feel it in almost your voice crack, which would be almost like a tear like jerking. Like there's certain things that can really add depth and volume to like your music. And some of that comes out way better live than you can get. That's why the best people who get those feelings out of audio recordings, that's why they're the best. It's a hard thing to do.
For sure. Like every time I record and then go on stage, it's two completely different. And I always try to, and like I get mad at myself because like I had this conversation with somebody recently, and I was like, I always get mad at myself because I'll record a song, mix, master, all that fun stuff. And then I go to perform it, and then like my performance is like 10 times better than the performance in the studio. I'm like, why didn't I just like save this somehow and like just wait?
Yep. Well, I'm always my own worst critic in that same way, where like I have 15 songs probably right now that like I show to someone and they're like, dude, why haven't you just put that on the internet yet? Like, what are you waiting for? And I was like, I could do this better. I could do that. Yeah. And it's like, I know that because I record it one way and then I bring it home and I'm jamming to it in the car. And as it's hitting one note, I'm under it hitting another note. I'm like, ooh, I almost like that more. Yeah. And now the next time I'm doing it live or anything else, I'm doing it differently than I did in my recording, which is what you'll hear like, Kurt Cobain or like, Chris Cornell. They have all these live songs that sound nothing like their track that's recorded on the internet. Dave Matthews is the king of that. Some of his music, I'm like the biggest Dave Matthews fan ever, and some of it just puts me to sleep. It's boring. Yeah. But you go and watch some of his live performances, and there's this one, it's Woodstock 99. It's literally the biggest sea of people ever. It almost made me cry last time I watched it. Dang. It was just like he's dancing. It's him and a guitar with like a drummer and a bassist behind him that they're just like not in the shot. It's just him. And it's like, it's Grace is Gone. It's this, lyrical, like emotional. It's about like a girl leaving him, but he's wailing it and it sounds sick. And oh my God, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's the best feeling. Like live shows, like always get it from me when it comes to me really liking an artist, if you will. Like I can hear your music and like it. Yeah. But for me to see your performance and like really get a sense of it, like that's what really draws me into it. Yeah. Like more than anything. Yeah. Same thing with like a music video, because I feel like a music video captures like your visual presence in a sense.
Right. Which is why YouTube's been the best for that. It's been the GOAT. Obviously I love music videos as much as the next guy and everything, which is why the only 2 songs I've ever put out, I have a music video for each one of them. Yeah. But I mean, I've been like Token was at my house like a month ago now. We just shot that big music video, which was like I guess like a Kendrick remix.
Oh, right,
and,
right.
It was Ain't It Funny That, for anybody who's curious. And he came to my house. We burned down this gigantic freaking chicken coop.
I saw that.
And several fire departments came. It was not great.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and he was cool. He was awesome. He was nice. He was standing on the roof. He's like, "Is this thing safe?" I was like, "Not really. That's why we're burning it. Right. Watch your step." And he's jumping around. I was like, don't sue me if you fall through that, bro."
Oh, so that was at your house?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. I didn't realize that. Like, I've seen the video, and I'm just like, This dude's literally standing in front of like this giant burning building right now.
And I don't know how Ben was able to get all the footage without me in it, because I was panicking once how big it got, and I was just sprinting back and forth trying to throw water on it and like just going like, oh my God, I'm going to prison. Like, holy crap.
He's going to set a forest fire, and then it's like...
It was terrifying.
It's just...
And then the fire department showed up, and they're like, I mean, you got water everywhere. You got like 25 people here. And he's like, you got it under control. What? And they came like it was already, it had gone up, and now it's kind of on its way down. There's no sense in stopping it now. It's just going to burn out.
Yeah.
So he's like good job, good luck. And they're like, don't put us on camera. I was like, we won't.
Yeah.
And now I showed up there to give him, some beer and such. As like, hey, thanks, sorry because it's all volunteer. They didn't charge me $1 or nothing. And I was like, wow, I feel bad. Like 55 freaking people showed up to my house in trucks and stuff, and 6 engines. I was like, I am sorry, everybody. I mean, I had a permit. I tried to tell you, but
oh wow, yeah.
But so they weren't that happy, but they were nice, and so I went and brought them some, like, hey, I'm sorry, gifts.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you're the video kid. And I'm like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that was me. At least they were reasonable about it and like understanding.
It's a small town in pretty northern New Hampshire where basically if I was like one more acre off the road, nobody would ever even known it happened. But I was just a little too close to a road where like people were pulled over going like, 911, dude, I think this guy's house is burning.
Right. I mean, at least somebody actually called, whereas like nowadays, like people just grab their phones only to take a video of it.
Yo, look at that.
Oh, it's so cool. Look at yeah, right. This house is burning down. Whoa, so cool. Oh, somebody should call the fire department. Like you can hear it like in the video. Like somebody call 911. Somebody call 911. It's like, how about you, dummy? You're on a phone right now. But that's
they say that's like an effect in New York where it's like there's so many people that like everyone assumes someone else is doing it, and then just like this guy chokes out and dies right there on the street because no one called. And like, I thought you, oh well, I guess we all just watched.
Right.
It's like, whoa.
I know. I watched. I know it's like fantasy, if you will. I watched like one of the last Saw movies.
Oh yeah.
And they literally like kill this girl like live public, like just big public display. Like, and the entire process, like, we'll say, like, realistically, maybe took, like, 15 minutes. But, like, the people have been sitting in this glass case in front of everybody for quite some time now.
Yeah.
And no one does anything. Yeah. And then the only person that remotely attempts anything is a woman with a briefcase that tries to break this, like, plexiglass that's not going to shatter at all. Or shatterproof glass, and like doesn't do anything.
She's
but
just
like
pretending to make it look like she cares. She's like, you're someone.
But like, there's literally like hundreds of people around this glass thing watching these people get like tortured,
murked. Yeah,
and not until like the girl is like finally getting cut and like her organs are falling out, her intestines are falling out.
They're like, wait, this isn't a live show.
That the cops actually show up and are like, oh, let's get these people away. Like. It took the cops that long to get there.
Damn. I thought they were going to be like, is this a magician? And then they're like, oh, that's a real heart. Someone call the cops.
No, they were all freaking out because like they had saws going. One dude gets cut early. You see the blood fly everywhere. But like nobody does anything. I'm like, all these hundreds of people and not one person like tried to get something stronger than a briefcase.
Yeah. Or
to
like,
try to break
hey, everybody
glass.
work together. Count of 3. Let's push this wall over.
Do something. Or like go on the other side. Like maybe there's something on the other side.
You guys
maybe there's a door.
flip a Kia. You can push a wall down.
Yeah, seriously. So I don't know. People just weird nowadays. I don't get it.
Trust me. I get all the weirdos over at the brewery sometimes. You never know who's going to walk in there.
That's true. That's true. I remember going back to the COVID performances. I did one live performance via live stream. And like it was cool, but it's just not the same.
So I did one live performance and it was like, I don't know, pretty much, I think it was like May, March. It was like pretty much COVID going pretty well, but like after it had been like a year, but they were still not letting anything go down.
Yeah.
And I was already over it. I'm like, dude, I'm done. Yeah. And it was supposed to be my birthday show that had gotten rescheduled because of COVID. So we got this rescheduling. they were supposed to put us up at the Jewel in the big main room.
Oh,
and then
I remember that.
I showed up with at least 100 tickets and people, and they were like, "Oh no, we can't allow more than like 20 in at a time." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Also, we have another show that already booked the main room." I'm like, "No, you."
Yeah.
And then so he stuffs us in this closet that holds like maybe 30 people, and I had 100 people.
There was about 100 people in there.
We crammed everybody in there, and halfway through, I was drinking. I was like, "Take off your mask," and then people online were going, "That was so unsafe. I hope all you guys get sick." It's like, you hope we get sick? Then why do you care if I took my mask off?
Yeah.
What the hell are you even
cool.
talking about? Like, and dude, half those kids I just unfollow. I don't need any of that in my life.
Yeah, I remember that. I was there for that. I had a guest performance for that.
Yeah.
And I just remember I remember just looking around and
He's like, oh,
there was
a
lot of people that didn't have a mask on, and I was just like, I mean, at this point, like, I'm drinking, whatever. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, if I'm gonna get it, like, I probably already have it.
Yeah,
so,
right.
At this point, it's kind of a lose-lose. So if I get it, I get it. If I don't, God's looking out for me, which, I mean, he did. I didn't get it. I was fine. And it is what it is. People, people can have their opinions.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I don't get into those opinions much. People don't like mine. But
yeah, that was a dope show. But it definitely sucked that we got slammed in the back.
And we go in. He's like, "Oh yeah, well the liquor commissioner is here." Like she saw it on Facebook and saw there was 100 people coming or reserved, and she was like, "He's like, they're here right now."
Yeah.
And they're telling me no booze or they're gonna shut us down, like, because they don't want this to happen at all. And I was like, "Well, guy, we're here. I paid. Like, we're doing this." And he was like, "Well, we'll only let a few people in at a time," which we ended up just kind of sneaking everybody in there.
Right.
And then he was like, "Well, no booze." So I went to the market basket down the street, grabbed a freaking couple 30 racks, busted them out of my truck, and just started handing out beers. I didn't even charge anybody $1. Just, here you go, here's beers.
Right.
Anybody who wants them. So then there was just like a decent amount of people drinking in the parking lot, which is much more illegal than what they wanted to do.
Right.
And so now we're just doing that, and then we got people crammed into this thing screaming. And dude, it was one of the sickest shows. Everyone was so happy to be there, so thankful to actually be able to see their friends again, and music. And dude, it was like an awesome event. And then I wake up and there's these little Nancy's online going, wah. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I remember because and it was stupid because I remember leaving the show. And I remember looking in the venue, the room that we were supposed to be in. And it was like 10 people.
2 or 3 people.
And I was like, wait, you shut us down? You moved us into a closet for this?
Yeah, those 3-4 people could have waited in that closet. That place ended up filling up. I stuck around for like an hour and a half and drank in the parking lot with everybody. That place ended up filling up pretty good. There was like 40, 50 people there by the time I left. But guess what? By the time I left, they could have had those 3 people freaking waiting in the closet that we were stuffed into. And then when we all file out, you let everybody in. They've made us wait outside for half an hour. Why can't these guys wait for a half an hour to be let in? Like, whoever's running that place doesn't know anything. That's why before I got off stage, I roasted them. I don't think I'll ever be allowed back there.
Yeah, it was.
That's fine with me.
Dang, I'm like, we would have packed this place in, because I remember, I think it was the year before. It was actually not that it was my birthday show, but it ended up being on my birthday, and like that was like the dope one again, like just a dope show to be a part of. And like I love that stage. I love the stage. The stage is just the setup and everything.
Dude, they have a good sound crew. They have good equipment. They take care of it. I mean, it's a good venue. Other than they were rude to me basically once, and now I don't like them.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I actually went back there not to perform, but we were filming a Joyner video, and I was helping Ben, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we got this shot that's over at the Jewel," and I was like, "Oh, cool." And then the owner is like, the one showing us around, and I'm just kind of lurking in the background, like, I hope this dude doesn't recognize me. And I was like, why would he? He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, probably doesn't care. Probably doesn't
who's
remember.
That kid? I got Joyner in my building. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, seriously.
Sure.
Yeah. Whatever.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, shows are definitely my favorite aspect of music. I grew up, my dad was in a rock band for a long time.
Oh, that's dope.
So I mean, I have pictures with my cousin Randy. Shout out Randy, Young 92, or I forget what he's going by now even, but I think that's his Instagram.
Sounds about right.
And but he's been making beats forever. He's been playing the guitar and the drums. I was playing the drums. I kind of moved more to the singing once I started writing raps and stuff.
Yeah.
But we have pictures, me and Randy being 9 years old. I was probably 7, he was 9, and I'm on my dad's stage in the backyard. I got a mic like this, and I'm like lurking, and he's got his hands in his pockets, wearing a vest, and just like it looks like we're like album cover ready to roll as
There
like
you go.
7-year-olds. It was pretty gangster.
There you go. So you've been around music for a while.
Yeah, man. I mean, and like where I'm kind of, I'm not tangential to Joyner at all, but like I've been around and I've seen all the videos and stuff. My dad was that same way, except even a little closer with Godsmack.
Oh, that's
they're
dope.
all from Salem, which is where my dad's from.
Right.
And like everybody from Salem's like, oh, I know the Godsmack guys. But like I was at Rob Merrill, the bassist house, when I was like 12 because my grandparents lived right down the street. They invite us to a party. I'm down there. I see Guitar Hero for the first time ever. He's got it on like a Wii arcade system next to all his shattered guitars. He's the man too.
So he kept the shattered guitars?
Yeah, he would, put, oh, this is from my first show in Ireland or this and that. And dude, my cousin, so Rob Merrill, the bassist, he's a lefty. And we were young. Like I said, my cousin was probably 10. He's 2 years older than me. And we were just getting into playing, and we're in his basement, and he's got with 100 people. It's a big party. And we're in his basement, and he's playing, showing people Guitar Hero because it was like literally came out like that week probably. It was brand new, and people were like, "What? This is sick!" And he's letting a bunch of people play. And Randy, my cousin, he's just strumming one of the real guitars that he found on the thing, and because they're all lefties except for these 2 guitars, and he's a bassist, so most of them are basses, but he had some regular. There was one guitar that was a righty regular guitar, and it was a nice like probably $1,500, $2,000 guitar.
Probably.
That he, only one on the rack pretty much that wasn't shattered. And Randy's just probably playing like do, do, do. Probably the most simple thing ever because we were young. But he came over. He's like, dang, you're pretty good at that. And he was like, oh, thanks. And we talked for like 5 minutes. He's like, yeah, you can have that. And we were like, sick. What? And he was like, yeah, dude, it's all yours. I got plenty of them. And we were like, dude, what? And so we go and show my grandfather. And he's like, absolutely not. We will not accept that. And we were like, dude, this rock star is trying to give us a guitar right now. And he's like, absolutely not.
Crush my dreams right now.
Yeah, no, my grandfather, he's, he just passed away last year, the year before, rest in peace. But he was an old school guy. He was like 80-something. He was just like, nope, I don't need, like, the neighbor's not going to give my kid a guitar. I'll get my kid a guitar kind of thing. I don't even know what it was. I think he was just like, that's too generous. I can't accept it. It was something, but we were bummed, and I'm still bummed because that was.
So you never got to get it.
We never got it, and then like 2 years later, he bought like a $150 guitar, and I think he still has it.
Nice.
Yeah, man, he would still have that guitar right now.
That's tough. He could probably buy like not your brother, but the bass is like 20 of those same guitars anytime he wanted.
Out for breakfast.
Yeah, seriously. that sucks. Yeah. And it was in good condition. Well,
decent.
Good condition.
But it was used
wasn't
too
shattered.
by a rock star on stage.
Yeah. I would have been like, can you just sign this, and then I'm just going to leave it on a wall somewhere.
My cousin used to mow his lawn every week, so we'd go over there every week, trot down the street on the tractor, and he had a dirt bike track in his backyard. It was like 1.2 miles, and he had these sick like 40-foot booters. And we would go back there and just watch these maniacs. He wouldn't even be there half the time. He'd just have all his buddies. They show up whenever he wants. And they would just be ripping, dude. Oh, my God. We'd have our mountain bikes. Like,
we're so cool.
Yeah, dude. And when no one was there, we'd try to get speed going down the jumps. Oh, man. It was a good time.
Dang.
Yeah. But like I said, so it was kind of lucky to be able to grow up in kind of a music scene already. Yeah. And then, I kind of took my own. We were in a band forever. But it ended up getting more and more hard to get 5 people together and 4 people together, all same schedules to jam and practice. And then one of my guitarists is like, I don't really want to do live stage shows. Like, I get nervous. Like, I just like jamming. And I'm like, well, you could have told us that 5 years ago, guy. Like, what the hell? Now we have all this stuff. So, like, I find that I think my best performances are, like, with an acoustic behind me.
Yeah.
Which I've done only a few of, but I relish those. And, like, I do them all the time when he comes over, and we'll just do them on my couch. And it's like, that was sick. Why weren't we recording that? Like,
right.
And we just mess around. But
that's where I want to get with as far as, like, performances is start getting, like, the live stuff in there. I feel like it just adds to the presence of it. Like, Joe Grizzly, like, they have a drummer.
Yeah, right.
And, like, it just... Even just the drummer itself, like...
It adds such an aspect. That's what I was saying earlier. That live drum kit, that thing that punches you in the mouth, that airwave.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously, even on top of the beat already playing in the background, like it's just another solid layer.
Yeah, I mean Joe, Just for Kicks, did it a lot. He'd have Decibel show up.
Decibel, yeah, that's right.
Dan Bauer, shout out, just moved to Tennessee.
Yeah, dude.
He's the only 10 I see.
Right.
He would like that.
Yeah, that was a big jump.
Yeah, man, I didn't see that coming, and I don't think I would have the stones to do it, honestly.
Yeah, hey, best of luck to him, and everything that he's doing. Hopefully, he gets everything.
I think he will. He's he's truly really talented. I don't know where he keeps it all. He's funny. He's good at music. He's personable. I don't know where he's hiding all that, but
who knows? Only he knows.
It's all on the fingertips.
Yeah, right. Seriously. No, shout out to the team.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, or I don't know if I even said, but MOCG, the Minds of One Collective Genius. I mean, it's like basically anything I've ever done with music, I've been attached to MOCG. Like, I've been with them since day one. Joe honestly gave me some of the inspiration to even do the rap that I was doing. Like, I had been rapping with my boys, writing things down in 7th grade on paper and stuff, and just passing them back and forth. But then when I saw Joe and Cam and Larkham put out Sexual Vanilla, I was like,
that was it.
I was like, all right, well, I can do that at least.
Yeah.
Like, I can at least do that. Like, he just was willing. Like, he's like, I think this is funny. It's cool. It sounds kind of good. It will, people will laugh, but they'll be laughing with me and not at me. Some of them will laugh at me, but that's fine too. At least they're watching.
Right.
And I was like, yo, I can at least do that. Like, whether they laugh at me, laugh with me, or they like it, that's all decent. Like, it's not a bad. And so basically I took that mentality and was just like, I guess I got to put something out. And then I didn't for mad long. And then I put 2 things out. And then I didn't again for mad long. So I kind of have a few things I've been working on. And I was thinking just like a couple days ago, I was like, I'm turning 28 tomorrow. It's kind of that time where it's like, I'm going to be getting married like next year. And I'm going to be having kids probably shortly after that. And it's like, so am I gonna go hard and try to see if I can put in, I have the groundwork, so I'm not just like saying, oh, can I put in a year and see if I can make it happen? But if I go balls to the wall for a year and try to see where, like, if there's some potential going forward, then I'll keep going. And if not, I'll stick where I'm at, and I won't focus on writing too many new things. Just when things pop up, and I'll do a few shows here and there, and support the boys and the gals
to enjoy it and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never leave music. Like,
and
I'm not in it for the cash at all. I've never made $1. Like I said, I've lost plenty, and that's fine. I would pay to go to a show. I would pay to host the show and be able to have backstage access, hang out with my friends. And, I'd pay for that too. So it's not a loss to me. It's an experience. It's a great time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cool. Like, I've even thought about that too. Like, as wherever music takes me, at the end of the day, like, would I ever just stop? And like, I feel like I wouldn't. Like, I would still, or even if I didn't, just like you said, like, maybe not make it to the level that I would want to make it.
Right.
Like, I would still like I enjoy just doing shows, like just hanging out, like you said, like just hanging out, doing all that fun stuff, and hopefully just get bigger local shows and stuff like that.
Well, and to a point where I don't want to make it. Like, I'm not expecting to be Joyner or Eminem. I would be very happy with even Chris Webby is more famous than I would even need to be. Like, I watch a lot of comedian podcasts and stuff, and they have like 4,000 Patreon subscribers, but that's 4,000 people giving you $5 a month. That's you're making good money. You're not making crazy money, but you're making plenty of money to not have to do another thing, and you can focus on creating and doing your art. So if you can just get a small amount of people that really, mess with you, you can make something work out of that. And so that's really what I'm aiming for. More just like a crew of people that like my music and like what I do and want to. I don't care about, let me pay $80,000 to get it on the radio so everybody across the world sees it, and so it's on every YouTube post I scroll by, and I'm like, this is terrible, this is terrible, this is terrible. Like, I don't need someone to just scroll by my stuff. I want people to like, I heard about this from my buddy over here, and dude, he showed me this while I was in the car. This is amazing. Or I was at this show and I saw him. And that's the kind of, I don't care about someone scrolling past me on Instagram. Like, that's not really what I'm about. But one of the cooler things that's come from all this is, like, I think it was more from the Joyner videos that I was helping with, or it could have even been from Trevor's Limitless thing. Actually, I think this one particular is the Grind Mode series that I did. I did a few of the Grind Mode ciphers.
Yep. It's the first time I met you.
Yeah, it was actually the first time I met you too. They were
Third
like, "Yo, look for
look
for Jay Faith. He should be wearing the MOCG hat." I was like, "All right, I'll find him." And then boom, there he was. He was like, "Yo, I'm Kyle." And that was true. That's the first day I met Kamek too.
Same.
Yeah, that was the start of an era right there.
Right.
Shout out Grind Mode for making that happen.
Yeah,
bro.
for sure.
Getting us all in one spot.
Yeah, definitely.
But basically, I think it was from that because I know they have kind of a strong presence out there. But I had these kids from South Africa all start following me.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, yo, that's kind of sick. And then one or two of them like were messaging me pretty often, and I was like, wow, that's and he was like, hey man, how are you doing? Just checking in. I'm like, oh great, how are you? And he's like, awesome. I just actually was inspired by like some of the shows you were throwing. He saw it and was like messaging me about the MOCG fests that we do, and he was like, dude, those look like so much fun. He's like, where I'm, I don't know, I don't mean to disrespectful. I don't know if he's in a village somewhere or where in exactly South Africa he is or what it's like over there. I don't know much about him. But wherever he is, he's like, there's not much music. There's like, a few people doing things, but it's hard to get people together, hard to get the equipment. And I was like, dude, I get it. Like, is there some way I can, send you some money and kind of try to sponsor it? And he's like, maybe. He's like, do you have any R? And I was like, I don't know what R, like the currency. I don't know how. I don't know how to get that or pay you that. I don't know. So I'm like, can you like get crypto and I can send you some Bitcoin or something? He's like, you're gonna send me a Bitcoin? I was like, no, I do not have 50 grand to give you for Bitcoin. I was gonna give you like 0.0000001 of a Bitcoin. Yeah. And he was like, oh, he wasn't really getting it, I don't think, but he was the man. He's never been nicer. And he was like, eventually, a couple months later down the road, he's like, dude, I just threw my first show. It was a major success. Like, people came. They all liked it. And I see him right now on Facebook, and he's, like, actually throwing probably bigger shows than I am. And it's like, yo, that's cool. And he still hits me up. We actually have a track together that never got released, too.
That's dope.
Yeah, man.
That's what's dope about, like, inspiration sometimes. And I think a lot of people miss the mark is that, like, yeah, you can inspire somebody, and sometimes they may take it higher than you are, but like, don't take offense to that. No. Which I know you didn't. I'm just, right. There's a lot of people that are like,
that for sure.
They're like, oh, what? Oh, you're, forget you, man. Like, I'm the one that got you.
I got you here. Yeah. I call that like the new thought. Like, it's like the Joe Rogan effect, where like he kind of was the beginning of like, oh, this dude's funny. I'm putting him on, and he's huge now. Like, he did that with all these comedians, and like, he's not jealous or bitter. He's just like, yeah, dude, go ahead. Like, dude, you're killing it now. That's awesome. Yeah. It's kind of like, people in comedy say, like, he kind of started, that was never the thing. They always were like fighting each other for one spot on Carson or whatever. And, the late night shows. Right. They weren't, or like they're trying to get a sitcom. And so they're all in the same auditions, walking by each other going, oh, this guy, he's going to get it. I hate this guy. Or, oh, this guy's a schmuck. He ain't getting this. Yeah. And so they were all kind of in competition with each other. But now with the internet and podcasts, and there's so many people and so many markets, and everybody's got a phone. It just like, so now everybody's able to spread the love. There's not like a famine mentality. Right. And so it's kind of what I like I said, it's kind of the Joe Rogan effect. He talks about it all the time. Yeah. But he like is the originator of it. He lives and breathes that.
Yeah, that's like how music is now. There's just so many different platforms and opportunities and genres and just types of people now. Like, sometimes it does get challenging trying to filter through all of that as a listener. Right. But I mean,
it definitely is.
We're in the technology era. Like, you just gotta roll with it.
It can be saturated, but it's always been saturated. I mean, even when my dad was doing his band, there was probably 60 bands in Salem at the time. Right. Everybody had a rock band. Right. Zeppelin was big, Metallica, all those people wanted to be in a metal band, and so that was a big thing. Just like now, everybody wants to be a SoundCloud rapper. Right. It's always been saturated. It's just before there was a higher buy-in. You had to buy a guitar and a drum set and actually practice all the time. Now it's like you can be alone in your room, write a few things down with an iPhone, record it, and put it out, and now you're a SoundCloud rapper. Yeah. So it's a lower buy-in, but it's always been saturated. It's just now kind of more saturated. But the cream always rises to the top. Yeah. You have to be undeniable. That's another thing, honestly, Joe Rogan says, king of podcasts. But you got to be so good that no one can tell you aren't good, where you're like, oh, true, he's right. You got to be like, dude, I'm undeniably good. And even if you don't like it, it doesn't mean I'm bad at it. Right. Just be undeniable. Get so good at something, nobody can tell you're bad at it. Yeah. That's like even artists, like some of the bigger artists, like even old school, some of the newer artists, like the good ones, that I'm like, their music's not for me, but
I fully and 110% understand what they have done for this culture.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that, kind of goes along with what you're saying. It's like, not really for me. I'm not really going to seek out your music, but you did something.
Yeah,
there.
right. You're doing it.
Yeah.
You started with this, and now you have that. So you've done that. Obviously, I mean, like you said, just helping everybody out. That would be my main goal. Like I see Joyner do it sometimes, where he's like, I'm looking for someone. He's doing it a lot with his Tele app, which might be more of a money thing, trying to get people over there. But at the end of the day, even if it is, he's still, at the end of the day, making an opportunity for an underrated artist. So even if he's doing it selfishly, he's doing it. So regardless, we'll take it. But that's what I would be doing. I would be like, yo, like, all right, I'm comfortable. I'm here. I remember this kid, and that kid was gross, like nasty. I know this kid's dope. Like, I know this kid's got it. Like, let's see if we can all, like, because now they were like, oh, he was nasty, but had no money. Maybe I can give him a couple bucks, and he can make this, and now we are on a song together, and now he's got the resources he needs, and now we're banging, now we're going. And so, I mean, that's how a lot of that stuff works out. And a lot of people don't like to pass the torch, I guess, but I would be all about, like, I would almost take pride and be like, yeah, see him, like I found him on the street, like, all right, you see it, like. You wouldn't brag about it, but it would be cool to be like, yeah, man, I see all these things. Like, I've made an effect and an impact on people's lives and in the world.
Literally. Yeah. Like I've always said, like, as far as, like, I've always asked that music at least let me live comfortably. If it were to take me any further than that, like, my goal would be to actually open up. It wouldn't be like every day, but I would love to open up like a free studio. Like the engineers get paid, like they get all their stuff,
but out of your pocket,
but it would
not
come
out
from
of
me.
The artist.
Correct. And this way, because again, like you said, like there's so many people that have that like just raw natural talent, but they don't have the resources, they don't have the money. But it's like
the time is the biggest one.
And it's like why I don't want to see somebody lose their potential, their opportunity because of money. When they have the talent there. Like, if you were to put a guitar in their hand, like, they would rip it apart. Yeah. But because they can't afford a guitar, they're never going to get the opportunity. Like, that's art lost to me, in my mind.
That it's a fact is what it is.
And I that's something, like, I don't want to see. Because art has been, I'm sure, same with you, has, like, been so influential for us in our lives that, like, I know that it can only benefit more and more people, the more people that have access to it.
Absolutely. I mean... That's why, all the biggest and most important cultural items of, like, history is, like, the Sistine Chapel and, like, all these, like, Notre Dame, these beautiful things that are just, like, how did someone do that? That is awe-inspiring.
How did you think of that?
Yeah, right. Like,
it blows my mind every single time.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of mentoring yourself.
Yeah, I do. I do a lot of stuff. Like, I've taken a few of these little rapper younglings under my wing, like Some of Sam. I wouldn't call him a youngling, but I remember how I told him, I was like, you got to come out of your rap closet. I'm like, that's the biggest thing holding you back. And I realized it for myself. But, like, when you first start off, you're, like, almost embarrassed to tell people, like, yeah, I rap. Like, it's kind of like, no, I make music, or like you kind of dance around it, or you don't really tell everybody, or you won't put it out, or like you don't want your mom to find it, like little things like that. Where I was like, bro, you just gotta like sit your family down and be like, I make rap music, and then you will just like a weight falls off your shoulders where you're just like, okay, everybody knows, no, then they make fun of me. All right, now I can start putting stuff out.
You have to own it.
You have to, and you have to be comfortable doing it. You can't be like timid and like, oh, what are they thinking? You have to just be like, this is me. I hope you like it.
Yeah, because I used to think, like, I was kind of in the same shoes too, because I'd be like, because you always used to, I used to always get that response of like, oh, I'm a rapper. And then like you would get like that just weird like that response. But then like, I can't be like, oh, I make music, because then it always goes to, what instrument do you play? And then you're like, all right.
Exactly.
No, like I rap, I write my own music, I work with, and I like have to like sit down and explain it to people.
I still do it, even though I'm comfortable with it and stuff. But like, I work at a brewery where there's older people that come in. Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, and I'm like, oh, I got to go to this show. And like, what show? I'm like, oh, I'm performing over there. Well, what do you play? I'm like, I don't really play.
It doesn't always have to be playing an instrument.
And like, you're not coming to see me. I don't need to give you the whole story. Like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm going to a show. I'll be back.
Right. And
mentoring, like you said, I also I coach lacrosse over at a high school around here in Londonderry. which has been one of the best experiences. I played lacrosse my whole life, and like I had the unfortunate circumstance where I was kind of a meathead in school, and even though I was good at the sport, I got cut from my senior year of lacrosse, kind of to teach me a lesson, and it taught me a crippling, depressing lesson. And for a long time, I was fighting to get that back, like that chunk of my life where I was like, you know, that was my sport. I lived it for so long, and then I couldn't play it, and then you know. Some of my teammates that, you know, were just waiting for me to fall off, you know, some of that stuff.
Oh, right.
And just, you know, it hit me hard in my life where I was, you know, just turning 18, about to graduate, could have had my name in the paper and felt cool and, you know, did the whole thing. And then it was just, nope, nothing, you're gone. And I was like, wow, this was my year and I don't even have it. So it opened my eyes and honestly probably helped me a lot in life. And I stopped doing as much dumb stuff. Skipping school and stuff, and now skipping lifting mostly. That's mostly what it was. I wasn't that dumb, but basically, you know, now I actually, you know, that coach, I had his job, and
nice.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of felt good. And then I actually had his kid come out his senior year.
Oh wow!
And his kid was pretty good, but so was I. And I was obviously not going to be that guy. The head coach, I was an assistant, but the head coach wanted to cut some people, and I was like, dude. Is this his first year, or has he played for 12 years and you're just gonna cut him? Because has he paid into the booster program? Has his family gone to every game? Is like, dude, you can't just take that away from a kid. These are kids.
Yeah.
This is not just like college. This isn't the Patriots. Like, oh, he's not good enough. It's like, dude, who's telling you have to cut this kid?
Yeah, right.
Just keep him on the team. Send one extra kid to JV and pull him up for swing games. Like, you don't have to cut these kids. You're just doing it because you don't want to deal with them. Right. I'm like, I'll deal with them.
Yeah,
and so eventually we didn't cut a single senior.
Yeah.
And I was like, I made an impact right there.
It's important, man. Like senior year, like especially is like just one of the most impactful years that you can have in your life. And it's like these kids aren't making, you know, they're not being paid millions of dollars where they have to own their spot. They have to show up. They have to show up. But
even if the kid's not going to play.
Right.
Make it like you're going to just say, oh, instead of coming to practice for 2 hours after school, go home and do whatever you're going to do now.
Right.
Like that's way more opportunity to get yourself in trouble.
Right.
And it's like, do you want kids playing sports or do you want them on the streets?
Right. I mean, look at like, for example, like the NBA. Like you have players getting millions of dollars, barely see like 5 minutes a game, and still get the championship ring. Right. Because they're on the team, but they show up to practice. They're there every single day, putting the work in. And it's like, let these kids learn from some of the kids that are better and see where they can improve. And if, you know, and at the end of the day, like it's on them to put in the work and do that, but they're never going to get that opportunity if, like you said, send them home to
play Xbox
and watch TV, and waste away.
Right. But I mean, and a thing about that is like, if one of those kids has a few good weeks at practice and just starts putting things together, and then you're like, hey, you know, you're starting this week, and then he starts killing, and now he's one of your best players. All these other kids just saw that and like, okay, so it's true. If I put in the time, I can actually succeed and end up where Homeboy was, where he was just with me last week.
Right. They know it's possible.
And so it's like, you know, you can't just cut, you know, young kids who are trying to learn a sport. I mean, it's senior year. If they're not going to go do anything in college, that's kind of their mentality. They're like, they're not going to do anything with it next year. They're not playing and they don't care. But it's like, no, it's kind of like they're a senior. It's embarrassing to them to get cut in front of everybody. And then they're also, like I said, now they got free time on their hand to do whatever, you know. I mean, a lot of kids that age start smoking weed and drinking, and now that's 2 more hours a day to go do that. And
right.
A lot of people are like, oh, I can't do that. I got a game tomorrow. Now that's not an obligation, so what's your reason? Yeah. Some people aren't as, like, fortified on those things, and they're easily swayed.
Even if they're not going to do anything in college, like, let them go out their senior year with a bang.
You
like,
still learn
just
lessons.
Go all out.
Yeah.
Oh, so many lessons. I think I learned more lessons in sports than I did in, like, just anything.
100%. And even now coaching, I learned more lessons the last 2 years than I've learned playing, I think.
Yeah, like discipline alone.
Well, that and trying to coordinate 14-year-olds. Like, hey, go, you know, take a lap. And they're like, what? You're not that old. I don't have to listen to you. You're my dad. I'm like, all right, this is going to be a long season, boys.
Yeah, listen here.
No, I didn't get too many kids like that. For the most part, they're conditioned from, you know, other coaches. They know how to be coached at least.
Yeah.
So you're not just wandering into like a U17 that's never played which I've done with when my little brother was young. Me and my dad coached him. And to anybody who like coaches young kids, all the power to you. Thank you. I'm not doing it though.
Yeah, that's why
it's so tough.
Yeah, that's why when I got my job, I was like, if I can get to the teen section, like that's where I'd like to be, because those are things. That's a place where
they're learning. They're understanding what you're saying
exactly.
At that age.
Yeah, the things that I'm passionate about, music, basketball, for example, I can teach that. I don't have to water it down. I don't have to like sugarcoat it. It's just like, all right, we're doing this.
And there's not many adults probably in their life that relate to those subjects in their life. So then they're like, oh, dude, what? I can be a grown up and still love basketball and music? What? That's sick. And then they're like, they kind of got a role model in you now. And they have this whole vision of what life can be as opposed to what they've seen.
Right.
I mean, it's very rewarding to be able to just like be like, all right, I did something today. Like I just went and sweat in the 100-degree sun on the sideline in Keene, an hour and a half away, to drive back hungry and starving on the bus with the team. And but like they won and they fought, they were down, we came back, we rallied, we didn't get penalized. Like all those things are like, and then when the team's like pumped, because we had a tough schedule and we weren't a very good team. I was the freshman coach, and we were, scheduled to play the bully, just all big schools that we were not equipped. And we ended up going 6-4 instead of 5-5 or whatever. But like, we were dang close. I looked at the season beforehand. I'm like, well, this is going to be a defeated season. And we won half the games, basically. And we lost the last one to go 500. We lost by 1 point in overtime. It was pretty successful.
But to go in overtime, I mean, to hold out that long.
Dude, the first game we won, because it was like 4 losses in a row, and then we like won out almost. Like they started putting things together. Yeah. 2 of my kids got pulled right up to JV. I mean, like, and then they were sad. I had all the JV kids coming down like, can we play, coach? I'm like, yeah. Are you a freshman? Hop in. Are you a freshman? Hop in. And the head coach up in the varsity, he was doing all the administrative stuff. I thank him for his opportunity. He actually called me yesterday to tell me he was stepping down. So I was very sad about that. But, I mean, he was definitely was like, he took me under his wing the first year, and I was his assistant at the varsity level. And then the next year, he's like, all right, you're going to be the head coach of the freshmen. I'm not going to be bugging you. You're not going to see me. You're going to be taking different buses, going different places. Let's see how you do. Yeah. And I did, and so now he's stepping down. I don't know what's about to happen, but hopefully the new guy is going to be cool.
Yeah. It's hard to see those people go, especially those people that
man, I almost cried.
That like mentored you so that you could mentor others, help in that process to then like see them go. It's like, all right, like now it's like my time. Like I'm getting to that, I'm getting to that kind of stature, if you will, or that, I'm rising those notches to that point.
I always looked up to coaches, and now I'm a coach that kids are probably looking up to. That's creepy. Like, it's like weird. I've never been looked up to, I don't think. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
It's a cool feeling though. Like I get it at my job a lot, and like it surprises me sometimes because I'm like, you guys actually like think I'm pretty cool and like actually listen to me and like hear what I'm saying. And
like I hope my kids feel this way about me.
Right. Because like we've done a lot of opportunities like traveling and stuff like that, as part of like a leadership group, and they're like, if you hadn't like told me to go, and like I'm so glad I went, and like I learned so much, and like I want to do it again. And I'm like, wait. You want to do this again? You actually, the person standing in front of me that I could barely get to do anything. Could barely get to do anything is now like, hey, I want to do this. Oh, is that thing coming up again? Can I do that again? Like, I want to do that. Right. And I'm like, this is dope. That's what I live for.
That's what you do it for, man.
This is what I live for.
100% what you do it for.
Yeah.
It's that sweet, like, I don't know. You go home, you take your hat off, you sit down, you're like, well, I did something today that wasn't just self-serving and like, I didn't just go and work, come home and eat and go to bed. Yeah. Like I did something else. Like,
that's the best feeling. Even if it's one kid, like one kid, if I can do that for at least one kid a day, like I had one girl, she was like, oh, I eventually want to like design my own school. And I was like, wait, like I know.
That's sick.
I know an engineering app where you can like just design stuff on the iPad. Yeah. And I was like, here you go. And she was like, oh my God, like this is awesome. And she literally just spent like the rest of the time. And I was like, that's dope. Hooked. And she was like, I'm so glad you showed me that. Yeah, I'm like, that's awesome.
One of my friend's little sisters, she was like he worked at the brewery for a while, and she was always at the brewery. She was like 9 or 10, and she was getting into like design, and she would like put zippers on things and cutting all her clothes up, and her mom was getting pissed because she had an older sister. She would just take all her clothes and cut. And so for her birthday, my mom was like, I'm going to get her this big pile of just like, buttons and zippers and, cotton and like just material that you can go and just start making clothes out of, like just big fabric. And so we gave her just like $100 bucket. Everything's like $2-3, so it's just loaded full of stuff. And she was just like, oh my God. And then for like 3 months, dude, she was coming in with like looking like Lady Gaga with just the most like preposterous outfits on ever. You're like, you made that? And she's like, yep. I'm like, looks great, good job.
Yeah, but I mean, oddly enough, there are those people that would be like, that's fashion.
Yeah,
like, that's
and there are. And dude, imagine one day she's walking down, or someone's walking down a runway wearing an outfit she made, and she's a London designer somewhere that people are paying her $1 million for an outfit.
Yeah,
that could happen just because we got her a freaking pile of fabric one day.
Yeah.
That's the little things.
That's the stuff that happens, man. I'm telling you.
Yep.
You got to give the kids the opportunities. You can't cut them off the team. You can't.
Facts.
I mean, do your best to not say no.
Yeah.
I know there's like times.
Yeah, there's some times where it's like we can only carry a 28-man roster. It's like, okay, well, then you have to. But like where it's like we can only carry a 35-man roster and we have 37. And it's like you can't find 2 kids to go on JV for like, you can work around those things. Yeah. Or put someone on injury reserve. Homeboy's got a broken wrist.
Right. Just do your best. Like, do your best. Because honestly, like we've been talking about, don't take those opportunities away. Like, you never know what some kid is going to do with the opportunity that you give them.
And I mean, I get the other end of it too, where like Michael Jordan was cut off his team, and then they put a fire in his ass. And like I said, I got cut from my team, and I guess it put a fire in my ass, and I guess I'm maybe better for it too. But I tell you what, I take it all back to go play lacrosse my senior year.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. There's trade-offs, pros and cons, I'd say. But
yeah. But I mean, it allowed you to just kind of, I mean, sad to say, but not sad to say. It's like it allowed you to learn that lesson and like the value
100%.
of what you're doing now, and being like, okay, like now I understand why it's important not to cut the kids. It sucks that you had to go through that.
I was the kid cutting corners and like wasn't putting my all into it. And so like there was a kid on the team who probably wasn't as good, but was putting his all. And honestly, props to that coach for being like, you might be the better player, but you're cut.
Yeah.
And I'm going with the kid who's working harder and more focused. And I mean, that's a hard decision as a coach to make.
For sure.
Like, we're going to be a little worse, but.
For sure.
So, I mean, I respect him too. And I was always nice to the kid. I never cut his kid. I actually had a great time with his kid. His kid's amazing. No bad words to say about anybody. Everybody was great.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got coming up for yourself? Any music? Any other things that you got going down at the brewery that you got coming up?
I wish I had a whole list of things to tell you right now, but it's looking semi-bleak on my show calendar, but that's how it usually looks. They kind of just pop up sporadically. Yeah. Usually I'll have like a month notice. Like they're like, all right, the flyer's going to go out tomorrow. Who wants to be on the show? I'm like, oh, I will.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
But so, I mean, you could follow me. I think I'm just Kyle Knight, maybe 1013. But on like Instagram, I don't know if I even have a Twitter, but Facebook, just Kyle Knight. I don't have a music page yet. I don't have enough friends on Facebook to need one. So yeah, I mean, if you want to give my music a listen, go ahead. And if you like it, come give me a follow. I'll be putting something out eventually. Like I said, I have like probably a dozen unreleased tracks, but I have like 4 or 5 in mind that like are close. Well, they're done. They've been done for like a year and a half, but they're close to where I'm deciding I'm willing to put them out.
There you go. Well, it's something, man. Sometimes.
Yeah, I got YouTube. That's another thing. Kyle Knight, YouTube.
And that's KN.
KNIGHT. Yes, sir.
Gotta make sure, because they'll put in nighttime, and then
everybody does.
You said to follow me, but I can't find him.
Kyle Knight.
Kyle Knight. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Well, Kyle, I want to thank you for taking your time to come out here, be on the pod.
I appreciate you, man. I mean, this was awesome. It's one of my first podcasts as a guest ever, I believe. Go. And it was a great time.
Nice.
I hope
I like
did
breaking
well.
cherries. I like breaking cherries.
Yeah.
There we go.
Let's go.
Well, thanks, man. Appreciate you. A lot of great stuff that you shared with us.
Thank you.
Time goes by very quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But got some great stuff. I want to thank everybody that's tuned in. Check this out. Make sure you follow everybody. Kyle Knight, on Instagram. Check out the music. Stay in tune. Ask questions. Appreciate everybody. But until next time, my name is Jay Faith. This is Kyle Knight, and this is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast. We'll catch y'all next time. What's up?